Today I'm tackling a thing that seems to be impossible. If you haven't figured out by the title of this video, this is a breakdown of the Five Nights at Freddy's timeline. And it shouldn't be that hard. There shouldn't be a lot of contradictions. So let's just get started with 1983 being the earliest date thanks to Fnaf 4. We found our first contradiction. You see, the thing is, this one date is probably the most complicated one. See, since it's the earliest one, we can expect that the series starts around here. We know that in 1983, the crying child, even though most people think that he's Michael Afton, he's not. Michael Afton, his older brother, torments him the whole game. He doesn't really have a canonical name. People call him Chris because that's the only thing they can think of crying, but his name isn't Chris. But I'll just call him Crying Child. He dies. Yes, but the thing is, we know that's an accident. Well, kinda. But here's why it's hard. You see, throughout the whole game, we do not know who his sister is. And thanks to sister location, relatively, that she died before he died. That's the contradiction. Because at that point in the series, William Afton, aka Purple Guy, does not have any motivation to do anything bad at all at that point. Nothing really bad happened. Well, except for this one thing I want to say. I had to apply my own theories of the story into this one. This is not 100% accurate. But, since it makes zero sense that he would make the sixth location animatronics back in 1983, since there is no reason why he would, we have to believe that Elizabeth only is either A, just, with her mother, because we never see her either, so we have to assume that they're either A, divorced, or B, taking a break. Or we have to assume a bunch of things and just say that William was a crazy lunatic ever since he was born. And I want to go with option A, because it makes more sense if he was divorced and the wife took one kid, Elizabeth. There. 1983 is done. One death down. Now, here, since his youngest son is dead, it would make sense why he would go crazy. But it wouldn't break. So, here's the thing. If you've ever read the books, we know they're not canon. But the Five Nights at Freddy's books, we know can be implied as canon. Even though they have a bunch of contradictions to the game story. But the thing is, Scott has stated that the books are trying to help us figure out the canon. So we can assume, thanks to Into the Pit, that the missing kids incident happens in 1985. Meaning that William has to snap before that time. So, let's break down. 1984 is probably when Elizabeth dies, as at that point he would probably be a bit crazy after his youngest son died to his own creations. So he made the sister location animatronics, and with one day of them being opening, well, his daughter dies too. It makes sense if she dies after the crying kid, because what else would she if we had to contradict Fnaf 4? So that's when it would make sense if she died. And she'll take baby, and since baby's Circus Pizza World is closed, she's a rental now. Fnaf. What is it? No, there was no game for this point. Well, kinda, but not really. 1985. Missing kids incident makes complete sense. Also, thanks to 1985 and knowing that this takes place before FNAF 2, the Wither animatronics can finally be explained. Those were the original models of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy. It makes total sense if the Wither animatronics were the original designs, just but broken. Also, by that point, they would look like that, as most likely after the incident, no one goes to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and they have to do a whole new opening with guaranteed safety, which, come on, no, it wasn't. And after the kids incident, which I had to say, why is it the missing kids incident? If because you would assume that they would clean the suits, so the bodies would be found. So then, why in FNAF 1, which we know takes place in 1993, would it still be missing kids incident? If they just cleaned the suits, I don't like how it's called that. It could have just been it could have been literally anything else, like a murder at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, children found. It would make more sense, because Scott, I know you're not watching this, but come on, man, what the hell? It makes zero sense if it was missing. Because then, why wouldn't they clean the suits? I know in FNAF 1 they say that they just don't clean the suits because that's a health violation. That's just a health code just waiting to happen, let's be honest. But then that is the original reason why FNAF 1 closed. Anyway, back to 1985. Missing kids incident. They get stuffed in the suit. The puppet, we need to figure out when that gets possessed. She, because it's coming to confirm that it's a girl. Most likely before 1985. Probably around 1984 or early 1985, but it has to be before the missing kids incident, because we know that it's the puppet that stuffs them, not William. Even though it makes sense if William did it, but either way, they get stuffed by the puppet or William, but they know the puppet was possessed by that point. So probably after his son died, he probably needed a relief in 1984 before his sister gets possessed. Maybe it's in between Elizabeth and the kids, so it would be in between that point. Okay, 1985 is done. In 1987, we know what happens in 1987. FNAF 2. And within FNAF 2 is the bite of 87. There's not a lot to go by in FNAF 2, but I quite literally forgot, and I probably should have said this. We have to jump back to 1983. This was totally my fault. Jumping back to 1983, we also can assume that the spring lock failure thing happened. We know from FNAF 3's recordings that there were 2 guys that died because of spring lock failures. I think in FNAF 2, Shadow Bonnie and Shadow Freddy are the 2 guys who died. Now, here is all I have. It's because it's Freddy and Bonnie. It's only Freddy and Bonnie. That was odd to me. And the Freddy one is more specifically the Golden Freddy. It's just Shadow Freddy's design in FNAF 2. And the way that he sits is Golden Freddy's design, just a recolor. That could have been a hint. Then Shadow Bonnie looks like Toy Bonnie, but we can just assume, because Scott. But in the mini games, he has the Spring Bonnie design, so he was probably the guy who died in Spring Bonnie. And maybe this never got over it. That would make sense. And if they were meant to not be important characters, then what the hell is FNAF 3? But after FNAF 2 happens, we finally get FNAF 1. But people need to understand this. FNAF 1, or at least most likely a week before we play FNAF 1, Springtrap is created. Here's the thing. There's a lot of there's a bunch of stuff we have to talk about. Like how the place was supposedly closed down at that point, which would mean that FNAF 3 takes place even later. Or we can say that while FNAF 2 was happening, that whole thing, most likely a year before FNAF 1, he goes back into the place, the animatronics, he disables them, the spirits make him go into the suit, and he dies. Makes sense. A year later, or when we play FNAF 1, he would still be in the spare room. After FNAF 1, 30 years later, or 2023, because even though that map Pat says that was probably 2003, 1993 makes more sense, because why wouldn't it be? And everybody's just agreed that it's 1993. It just makes total sense. FNAF 3. Let's go. The thing is, they did a dumb and brought Springtrap with you. We do not know who is playing in FNAF 3. It's my personal headcanon is that it's probably Michael Afton, because how else will he be able to talk to his father, and his father wanting to save his younger sister? Because most likely he wouldn't have known where she was. So this is my headcanon. During FNAF 3, Michael talked to his father and got information of where his such location was. FNAF 3 burned down due to faulty wiring. He left, survived, so did his dad. He went to sister location. When we play sister location, we do know that it takes place after 3, because of the non-canon ending. Well, no, it was the ultimate custom night. Sorry, I'm fucking dumb. The ultimate custom night ending of when Michael was like, "Father, it's me, Michael. I found her, and I'm going to find you." Yes, see? After FNAF sister location, this is most likely where Springtrap became Scraptrap, and sometime later, FNAF Pizza Simulator. Now, I do not know how Henry either A, got all the animatronics, B, told all of them without dying, and C, how the actual hell did he specifically tell the person who probably wants to kill him most, Scraptrap, the other person who probably wants to kill him, actually no, all the animatronics that he just gets probably want to kill him most. I know he builds Lefty to get Marionette, because she just, is roaming. I don't know how that... Okay. I get it. The Marionette is, ever since FNAF 2, has been going to location trying to fix the mess. She went to FNAF 1. We know this because of the FNAF 2 opening. We know that she was in FNAF 1. We know that she was in FNAF 3 and was in a Phantom, or at least there was a version of her that isn't a Phantom, because we can see her reflection, because water exists and reflections exist. So we know that Lefty succeeded. Everyone burns. Yay. The story's over. Great. Or at least it would be over if the Ultimate Custom Night came out, where William Afton's in hell. This is quite literally what everybody agrees on. That William Afton's in hell, getting what he deserves. Michael died or something like that. Then VR came out, and everyone doesn't know what to think of. You see, We can say VR isn't canon and it'll be easier on us, or we can say VR is canon and I have to explain what they mean when they say the game dev made indie games about the whole thing. See, most people think that the indie games and like the actual games means a story before Fnaf VR meant nothing. Matt Pat did a big brain and figured out that the mini games we play, that's ones from FNAF 2 to FNAF 3, and pretty much those two games, the mini games we play, probably were the indie games. Most likely. It would make sense that they were, and the games that we play, like in IRL, is the story. Thank you, Matt Pat. You're really great. You made this easier for me, honestly. Now, this is where I thought it would end. Then AR came out, and it was like, hey, what if Toxic Springtrap was a thing? AR is canon, whether you like it or not. We know it's canon because Security Breach is probably also canon. And AR explains why Vanny's in Security Breach. So, yes, the canonicity of Liberty Chica, Toxic Springtrap, and Radioactive Foxy, those characters can be canon, and here's how. So the whole indie game person, maybe those got super popular where they made animatronics based off those characters. It would make sense. Also, FNAF is a company, as most people forget, meaning that they would make a Liberty Chica, a Rockstar, not Rockstar, never mind, scratch that, whose name wasn't Rockstar, 4th of July Freddy, and maybe just for fun, a Toxic Springtrap, because at that point, he was in one of the games. The Springtrap, the William Afton Death Mini games makes total sense. So, maybe they did that. They can all be canon. They can be all canon. Do I want them to be all canon? No, because most of the designs are actual trash. Then Security Breach comes up, and that's canon too. What happens? I have zero idea. It didn't come out yet. Will it contradict everything I just said in this video? Probably, most likely, that's how Scott works. Well, this is fun. Fun. Okay. The video ended. You guys can leave if you will. I will want to make an announcement. This is also going on my second channel called Chocolate Thunder. If you're my friend in IRL, you would exactly know what that joke is. Because I'll explain it later. Don't worry. It will come up. So if you're watching here Chocolate Thunder, hi. Welcome. This is also going on my other channel, my main channel. Tyrone does want to know. Until that channel, until YouTube decides to take it down. So yeah, at least you guys know where to go. Bye bye. Bye bye now. Yeah.